It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, and yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
What is up, everybody? Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan. Talking about Utah State, Idaho State. Previewing the matchups, the storylines. We've heard from both coaches. We'll continue to hear from both coaches and some of the players. I had a chance to catch up with a few Utah State players after practice yesterday. We'll hear from them, their reactions to week one, growing as players and as a program into week two. And certainly one thing we haven't discussed yet is learning lessons from overlooking an FCS team a year ago.
Yeah, that's
very painful lesson.
That was a hard lesson, and I mean, even I was, in on that as far as being in the media, just completely writing that game off as a win for the Aggies, and then looking like an idiot, the next week. By the way, I think we missed the text. I think 5338. He texted in earlier. We were talking about two quarterback systems. I was calling for an example. Can anybody name me a two quarterback system in college that has worked? He says, the Full Court Press uses a two-quarterback system. What are you saying about yourself? That kind of two quarterback because sometimes either of us will run the board.
Yeah.
I guess it works.
Yeah. It's a little different.
I don't think either of us can throw a 10-yard out route, though.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't trust myself. 9315, by the way, sent in a text just a minute ago. I think the game this week really favors the way Ike plays. He could have a record-breaking game.
I'll tell you what, as far as something that I really want to see from this game, because there are some things that I wanted to see from the Aggies in the game against Iowa. I wanted to see the defense. I wasn't optimistic. I had Iowa scoring 30 or so points. I wasn't optimistic the Aggies would do this, but I was wanting to see, okay, can you stop the run? Well, they did. They dang well did. They stopped the run. And a lot of people were praising Cade McNamara as having a good game, and I just had to think, did you watch the game?
Yeah, I thought it was very average. I mean, you have the kind of wall he had in front of him, and you can look like a very average quarterback.
Yeah. Like I said, I can't throw a 10-yard out route. You've had a few impressive passes. But yeah, one of his touchdowns was, as I said, when the corner fell over on a bang-bang play. That was like his longest pass of the game. He was thrown to his tight ends who were just bigger than some of the guys that were guarding him. So he played an average game against.
He made some decent throws.
Yeah, it's not like he played bad in any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was fairly
I'm
average.
not putting him in any Heisman race.
Yeah, no, and luckily they're not doing that. But I saw him listed as one of the transfers having had a good week, and I was like, did none of you watch the game?
Yeah.
Because I think the Aggies did a good job defending the pass, defending the run, but the place I was trying to get when I started this whole talk was turnovers, creating turnovers. I don't think I've seen this Aggie defense create a turnover yet, and I'm including spring and fall camp. I don't think I've seen this defense force a turnover. I've seen them create a fumble, and that's all I've seen them do. And I guess, Ike Larson did get his fingertips on a punt, which, bad luck there that it bounced 28 yards after it landed.
Had some impressive pass breakups.
Yeah, a couple. Ike Larson especially.
Yeah.
One of the photos of him breaking up a pass, and even the TV broadcast look, it is very graceful. Him up, way up there, reaching, grabbing the ball, but he didn't come down with it, so it's not a turnover. So, and you need those plays to. In that kind of game, you need turnovers to, get upsets. You don't get upsets without getting turnovers. That just doesn't happen.
Right.
At least it doesn't happen very often. So,
yeah, and I think that the secondary is primed to have some moments. Certainly, Isaac Larson does a great job of Ike Larson being in the right place to make plays. I don't think he's the only one who can do that. There's a number of guys who can do that, and even Anthony Switzer, who we heard from last hour, I mean, he kind of takes some blame. He took it a little personally that they didn't have any takeaways last week, and so that's going to be an emphasis this week in trying to turn the ball over on Idaho State.
I take that bullet. That's my fault because, Coach C, he tells us all the time, like, in practice, like, we have a goal to get so many punch outs during practice or punch attempts on the ball. And, we haven't really been – we've been trying to apply it, but we haven't been making a mental effort to, make that something that's second nature to us. And so I take that because I'm a leader on this defense, and I should make sure that everybody on the team is getting punched on the ball. So, that's on me. We'll get better at that. We'll start implementing it more in practice and let it carry over to the game. So, I mean, yeah, we got to create turnovers. That's something we should have had. We missed, 4 opportunities Saturday. And so hopefully, we just take that and learn from it. We watch the film, watch the tape, take it and learn from it, apply it to practice, and then it'll show up on Saturday.
Yeah, and so I think there are going to be some opportunities here to create some turnovers. I know that's definitely been a point of emphasis of not giving away the ball, but they really haven't seen this defense take it away yet either, and this is going to be a prime opportunity to do that on Saturday.
Yeah, that's something a lot of defenses focus on is, I think Switzer, you said in this clip or one of the clips where it's like you're trying to play offense on defense in kind of a weird way where you're trying to create big plays. Talk about creating big plays on offense, but you can create big plays on defense. Because, I mean, what's the difference between throwing a 60-yard, pass to get yourself into the red zone versus getting an interception and carrying it back into the red zone? Same result in a lot of ways. You're giving yourself the ball in the red zone off of one big play.
Yeah.
So the defense can play offense in that sense by making these big plays, by blocking a punt. I mean, obviously they can score themselves if they're lucky enough on those plays. But, yeah, the defense hasn't done that. They did well to do kind of the basic job of defense and don't let the opponent just walk over you and go down the field and score. Aside from those first 2 drives, they did that. I mean, outside of those first 2 drives, they allowed 10 points, the rest of the game. After the one where, Iowa set up on, like, inside Utah State's territory already, then they allowed the one good drive in that first half, obviously that second drive, and then they allowed one good drive the rest of the game. So the defense generally did well holding up. But they didn't, create anything beyond that. And that's something you don't want to require it of your defense, but you really want it.
Yeah, and actually that clip and this discussion kind of leads us into one of the main topics of this hour is there's a mantra you hear among coaches that the greatest improvement you make on a football team is what happens between week 1 and week 2. Maybe it's a bit cliche, but I think there is something to that, that your first game, you've had all the offseason thinking this is who you are, maybe some uncertainties, but you think you know what you've got. Then you play a game, and then you really know what you do and do not have. And so you try to make those adjustments in week 2, and by and large, after that, that's who you are as a team. So for Utah State, what are those improvements that you see need to be made between week 1 and week 2? Anthony Switzer talks about creating turnovers. It's a point we're making, that we haven't seen a lot of turnovers created by the Utah State defense. Would love to see more opportunities there, a little bit more aggressive play, or just players understanding where to be in the right place at the right time to create turnovers and take it away and flip the field for their own team.
I feel like Utah State's kind of on the cusp because one thing that was talked about with Iowa is the fact that there were opportunities out there. You have the block punt, bit of bad luck there. You have that muffed punt. The ball bounces, hits an Iowa guy in the helmet, and Paul Fitzgerald literally has the ball at his fingertips. It's right there. He didn't realize that it went off an Iowa guy. And you can kind of maybe chalk that up to bad luck, but there's only so many times you're willing to chalk something up to bad luck before you get a little frustrated that, hey, maybe we should have gotten a couple of these. Ike Larson twice gets his hand on the ball for a pass breakup. I mean, both would have been very difficult catches, but maybe come down with one of those. There's only so long you can be, you can just write these off and say, okay, that was maybe a little too difficult. Because eventually, the great players will make those plays every now and again. And, we consider Ike Larson to be a great player. We consider a lot of these guys to be great players. So, eventually, we want to see these. In one game, okay, fine. You kind of let 4 go. Some of it was bad luck. Some of it's because they were super difficult. You can't expect Ike Larson to fly in the air and one-hand snag a couple of passes down.
No.
But eventually, you've got to start creating turnovers one way or another. And so we need to see that happen. So for me, I want to see at least 2. Got to see 2 forced 2 turnovers against Idaho State. And that should just be the bare minimum.
Yeah, I mean, they did punch the ball out twice, but Iowa recovered because it was right there. Just ball bounced right to the right guy at the right time.
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing. Is like the fumble that MJ Tufisi forced. Like Ike Larson was 3 yards away, and the Iowa offensive lineman was 1 yard away.
Yeah, he just fell down right on top of it.
But eventually, the luck's got to turn your way. There's bad luck on a few of these. You'd think that evens out. So Utah State, we need to eventually see the results instead of justifying each of these. Because in every case for Utah State and against Iowa and those turnovers they didn't get, there's a justification somewhere in there.
Yeah, in fact, Blake Anderson talked about it as, or the way he phrased it, kind of positioned it as, we have to be able to capitalize on our opportunities, and especially when the defense does come through and make some good plays.
I think anytime you hold Iowa to below 100 yards rushing, you did something right. We was not perfect, and Joe would be the first one to tell you about a million different mistakes. But without Halle in the middle and playing as many new bodies as we did against a physical downhill run game play action pass offensive football team, to be able to hold them to 88 yards rushing, I think our guys did a tremendous job. I told Joe they give us a chance to win. Anytime you hold somebody to 24 or less, we're supposed to win the game. Offense has got to pull their weight, and we didn't. Now, that being said, we got to create turnovers, and we didn't. But we did hold up in some running situations and loaded boxes.
And there he is.
It's not my fault, I swear.
So we got a weird technical glitch somewhere. But you get the essence. I have to keep saying that. You get the essence.
Yeah, they need to be creating turnovers one way or the other. They said, and me and him are kind of on the same point. It's like Utah State, they held up in a lot of ways on defense. But there's more that you can ask. And great teams will have defenses that create those turnovers. It's something that's been a staple, as I followed New England Patriots. Like, their defense has been consistently great. And a lot of times they've been a bend but don't break. And a lot of times, with that bend but don't break, they force turnovers. It's like, yeah, you can sometimes get a lot of yards on them, but then they're going to pick a pass off. They're going to force a fumble. They're going to make those big plays. They're going to play offense with their defense. And that's what great teams are consistently able to do, is they create those turnovers. And sure, you might be able to move the ball against them. Heck, that's kind of what the Aggies were in 2021, where a lot of teams actually did fairly well moving the ball against the Aggies in a lot of cases, but at the right time, tackle for loss. It's 2nd and 17. And they force an incompletion, 3rd and 17, you're done. Even though you had a 40-yard drive up until that point, bam, big play. Get down to the goal line, bam, forced fumble. Justin Rice coming away with it and then running the other way. Like, time and time again, sure, maybe the defense wasn't holding up, but they made those big plays. And that can be the mark of a defense. They will, just when you think you're getting comfortable, like, oh, we're doing well against this defense, bam, your drive just ended.
Well, and like Coach kind of alluded to as well, if the defense does make a good stop, a good play, the offense has to capitalize off of that. You don't want it to go to waste. If they just did a big 3rd down stop or forced a 3 and out, or they had some momentum and they stalled them and they made them, they killed the offense of the opposing team, boy, you got to reward your defense for the job that they did. The last thing you want to do is go out 3 quick drop passes. You only take 20 seconds off the clock, and your defense has to trot out there and try it all over again.
Yes, it can be incredibly frustrating. Heck, for both teams, if you're just in a game where nobody's scoring. And that's kind of the way that, second and third quarter was, where there wasn't a whole lot of points scored there. There was field goal and maybe a touchdown like between the second and third quarters. That could be frustrating because at that point, yeah, Utah State's defense was finally playing well, but the offense still doing nothing. I think they had like the 1 field goal. So It's like when you're watching a basketball game and the team's getting tons of stops, but you can't make a shot worth a darn. It's like, doesn't matter if you hold a team to 0 points for a quarter and a half if you also score 0 points in a quarter and a half. And so you end up wasting that defense because the defense is, the defense is out there to give the offense a chance to win the game. Like, that's what it's there. It's there to give the offense the best chance to win the game.
Right. Ultimately, you win the game by having more points than the other team.
Yeah. So the defense is there, limit the other team, give the offense a chance to do its job. And the defense largely did its job against Iowa. The offense did not.
Okay, so the greatest improvements between week 1 and week 2. So what are those improvements that you think Utah State should really be focusing on to illustrate what kind of team they're going to be for the rest of the year? Jason and I have both kind of emphasized takeaways. Utah State defense needs to have some takeaways, do a little better job of creating opportunities for the defense, giving easier opportunities for the offense. That goes hand in hand with this singular play. Another improvement for me, I think the Utah State offense needs to be able to take shots down the field a little bit more. I think they've got the wide receivers to do it. I would like to see them stretch the offense more this week and showcase what that wide receiver room is really capable of, because I believe there's some real talent there. And we saw glimpses against Iowa, but I think that there's opportunity to do a lot more than what we saw in week 1.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because Idaho State's going to play a defense that has a lot more speed on the field, at least the formation is more conducive to that speed. They're playing that 3-3-5 defense. We saw that from New Mexico last year. I believe they ran that 3-3-5. There's more and more teams that are running that, just like there's more teams running the 4-2-5. So there's going to be a bit more speed on the field, but I think the Aggies will have a chance to just beat that speed. You're supposed to have better athletes when it's FBS versus FCS. And I think the Aggies have some decent speed. And so they do need to build. I think you and I had the same idea as far as one of the improvements. We both wanted to see more turnovers. We both want to see the offense taking big shots. I could also say that I want to see the run game be established a little bit more consistently, but that doesn't seem as important as getting those big shots down the field, because in a vertical offense, you need to get vertical, and you need to show that you can do that. Because this isn't a running offense. This is a spread it out, be vertical. You're running that 10-11 personnel, 3-4 wide receivers. So you need to be moving the ball through the air. I don't want to see Cooper Legas throwing 48 times for 200 yards. I want to see him throwing 31 times for 270 yards or something like that. Heck, in this game, you'd probably expect him to top 300 since it's an FCS team. You have kind of higher expectations statistically. So, yeah, you want to see them throwing those deep balls. Be aggressive. That interception he threw when he was trying to get to Micah Davis, Cooper Legas was being passive, babying a ball in there, and it got picked off because he didn't want to try and just drive it downfield and just gun it. I want to see Cooper Legas go out there and just dominate an opposing defense, because honestly, as I was thinking about it the other day, I don't know if I can think of a single game where Cooper Legas dominated a game. Has he been completely awful in any game? Not really. But I've never really seen him go out there and just command a field and impose his will on an opposing team. We saw Logan Bonner do that.
Yeah.
We've seen other quarterbacks do that here. If Cooper Legas is going to be the man, he's got to go out there. He's got to go dominate somebody. And he's in those big, those big passes, downfield strikes. We saw one of them. He threw a really good pass to Terrell Vaughn. It was like a 36, 39-yard gain. Absolute dime. I want to see more of that. Not what you did with Micah Davis, where you underthrew a pass and let the defensive back make a play on it.
435-339-0321. What improvements do you want to see out of Utah State between week 1 and week 2 to illustrate the type of team we're going to see this year, wearing the Navy and white for Utah State? 9315 texting in. I hope USU starts it off with a Bryson Barnes-type play to score in one play to start the game.
Yeah, they'll probably be taking a shot. I don't know if they'll take a shot on first down. I always think that that's what they're going to do. I'm like, Utah State's definitely going to start it off by throwing a 30-yard sideline route to, last year was Brian Cobbs. This year it'd be Jalen Royals. They'll probably run the ball in first down, but they will take a shot at some point in that first drive. It'll be part of the script. set them up, butter them up, probably a few short plays, and then they're going to be bam. Deep shot to Terrell Vaughn or Jalen Royals, maybe Micah Davis. There's like 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah,
they
there's
could
a
try
number of them.
So they'll really try and take a shot, and they'll try and make a big play on their first offensive drive. We'll see if that comes before or after Idaho State takes the field. But yeah, I do want to see those big shots, and they'll try it early.
A410, to me, one of the biggest improvements has to be eliminating penalties, especially these unsportsmanlike conduct and personal fouls. That seems like a discipline issue. When I played here back in the day, if we would have had that many 15-yard penalties, Monday's conditioning would have been an absolute nightmare. Yes, absolutely. Penalties has got to be better.
Yeah,
absolutely better.
For the fact that we talked about it a lot last show, I actually surprised neither of us thought, because I didn't think about penalty. Maybe it's because we talked about it yesterday. But that is definitely an improvement, probably more so than turnovers or the offense taking deep shots. Because you'll probably be able to get those against Idaho State as long as you're, not overlooking them. But if there's more penalties, then holy cow, that could be a problem. And yeah, the unsportsmanlike and late hits.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you got to eliminate. If they have a pass interference here, a face mask
aggressive
there,
penalty I can live with.
Yeah. If you get 5
administrative penalty, I detest.
Yeah.
Personal fouls, those are terrible.
Yeah, well, the late hit personal foul is specified because there's a lot of things that are personal foul. Late hits, roughing the passer. There's some aggressive penalties that are personal fouls that, again, are just, as Blake Anderson says, they're teaching moments.
Yes.
Jumping on the, dogpiling is, after the whistle is not.
9310, Cooper Lagat versus BYU last year was pretty dominating.
I would not say dominating. I would say good. Dominating, not so much.
Let's see. I'm going to pull it up here. Cooper Lagat was 19 of 31, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions at a 24.3 quarterback rating.
Yeah.
And
Good.
the Aggies lost. So I don't know if I'd call that dominating.
And I would say he was better than that stat line actually says, but not dominating.
Yeah, because one of those interceptions came late.
One of those interceptions was
forcing it.
One of the interceptions was a deflected pass to the line, not his fault.
That's right.
The other, he didn't see a linebacker, and it was definitely his fault. But he did have some pretty good plays, some good running. But yeah, not dominant.
20 carries for 52 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. And some of those, they include sacks. I hate how college includes sacks and things like that.
5308, more discipline when it comes to penalties. Yes, agreed. Speaking of penalties, I know we'd mentioned this, but wasn't that weird that coach kind of called out a specific player on Monday?
I think he just got carried away in the moment. You could when he began responding to that question.
He listed a few players and some of their penalties, but the way he went after the one was a little aggressive.
If he has to ask me, he probably regrets having done that, having called out that player. Because I don't know. And maybe there's some players that might actually respond in a good way to being called out like that.
See, I didn't even see what it was. What happened?
Well, I mean, none of us.
It was like this egregious thing, and he wouldn't be playing football again.
It's an unsportsmanlike penalty, and he's also like a freshman or redshirt freshman who's barely ever played. And that was kind of the point he was making. Is he mentioned, Pukesi, where it's like, okay, yeah, he's basically admitted, it's like, yeah, we got almost like a hierarchy where it's like Pukesi's a starter or in the 2 deep at least. He's played a lot. He gets some leeway to make a mistake. The young guy who doesn't play very much, he doesn't get leeway. And clearly isn't. Yeah. He's going to sit for a while. He's a special teams player.
Got to learn.
But yeah, I guess that's how it is. But
there's a couple more texts here real quick, 5308. We've seen Levi Williams do that, just saying, as far as dominating a game.
Yes, he has.
Yes, he has.
A couple of times, but only twice.
A couple of times.
But at least he's done it a couple of times. But it was mostly with his legs. He's never done it with his arm.
9315. How about Cooper in the bowl game?
He threw that first pass for 70-something yards. Completed half his passes, I think, in that game. for, I'm going to look up the exact stats so I don't get this wrong, but
First play, outstanding, dynamic.
yeah, first play.
After that, he was okay, but I wouldn't say he dominated when he came in.
So he throws a 62-yard pass. The entire game he has 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had an interception, completes 11 of 20 passes. Like, I don't want to be bagging on Cooper Legas here.
No.
I'm saying, look, has he been bad? I mean, maybe there's 1 or 2 games where he's been bad, and I just don't quite remember it. But my point, I'm saying he's never dominated a game. He's had good games. He's had decent games.
Right, you're not calling him a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
We're not saying that he's dominated a game.
That's the thing, is that he needs to take that step up. We kind of talked about it earlier before the season.
He has the tools.
I was like saying, when you're talking about the Aggies' best season, they've been driven by great quarterback play. If Cooper Legas is not going to be a great quarterback, this isn't going to be one of those great seasons. And maybe that's not what we need. Maybe just you need that 7-5 season. But there's room for Cooper Legas to grow, and I'm pointing that out.
More on that. We got more texts coming through. We want to hear from the players. I got a chance to talk to some players after practice yesterday. We'll hear from them as well. Continuing to look at Utah State hosting Idaho State in the home opener Saturday night. And pregame will be on KVNU. You can hear the full game uninterrupted, and you don't have to go anywhere else to find it. And then the postgame will continue to react, get your phone calls, your texts as well. That'll all happen Saturday night on KVNU 102.1 FM, 610 AM, our sister station. Quick time out here on The Fan, and more on Utah State coming up next on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Life is hard, so making sure you find that perfect woman is important. You need someone that will be by your side through the good and the bad. Once you have found her, show her that she is special with a beautiful diamond ring from Jerix. Yes, it is all about the romance. At Jerix, you won't find a more intimate setting. Where you purchase the ring might not be as important as who you choose to marry, but it's pretty close.
Jerix Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jerix.
For more than a decade, Integrity Home Health and Hospice has been changing patient lives, outcomes, futures, and now we're changing our name. Integrity is now proud to be called Aegis Home Health and Hospice. Aegis, A-E-G-I-S. At Aegis, we're dedicated to compassion, character, and trust. We will ensure you experience the difference as we meet your home health and hospice needs. I'm Melissa Fieser. Our team promises to go above and beyond with compassion and care. Call us today, 435-723-9000, or find us online at myaegis.com.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Medicare can seem complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Let us help. We'll answer all your questions and get you specific information that fits your needs. Medicare is not one size fits all. We'll help you find the right coverage for you. Call 752-9493. You can ignore the TV and the junk mail. We'll get you the exact information you need. We will help you access the benefits that are important to you. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493.
Security. It's the most precious thing you can give your home, especially if it's guaranteed. No cheap locks, no weak keys, no inadequate hardware, just the expertise and precision and security. Beezer Lock and Key believes there's no place like a safe home, and no home safer than one secured by them. It may seem they only sell locks and keys, but what they really sell is peace of mind. Search Beezer Lock and Key or go to 4th North and 1st West and just add confidence.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
They never could play it, but they sure can talk about it. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker on the Full Court Press.
Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. And you, love to hear from you on the Full Court Press text line or call in 435-752-1069. But the text line has been active this afternoon. asking about improvements from week 1 to week 2. We often hear coaches say that's where a team makes its biggest improvements. So in what areas do you think Utah State should be focusing on improvements? And that will be pretty much the team you'll see going forward through the rest of the year. 7994 texting in. First, I have to apologize to USU for the score prediction. They did better than I anticipated. For this week, I would like to see the offensive line dominate. Fewer penalties, aggressive running backs, and more accurate passes. It would be awesome if the second string started the second half because we have a huge lead.
Yeah, that would be nice. Just for context, 7994, his score prediction was half right.
Not that far off.
Iowa 24, USU 0. He had Utah State putting up a goose egg. Obviously nailed Iowa's score. Just 14 points off for the Aggies. So it obviously wasn't as optimistic about the offense. But, yeah, I think, there's certainly improvements the offensive line could make. Maybe a few less pressures. Do a little bit better in the run game because part of the reason the run game didn't get going, early on is because, Iowa was stuffing it for the most part. Didn't create as many lanes and, needed an extra offensive lineman to kind of get things going late in the game. And the running backs, I say the running backs did all right. I actually liked what I saw out of Devon Booth, even though he only ran for 33 yards. Faison obviously did good. Probably would like to see more out of Briggs. We haven't seen last year's Briggs in this year's version yet.
Yeah, not yet. Hampered by injury a little bit.
And I'm hoping that that's still there because I really liked what I saw out of Briggs. Thought he had a chance to be a good running back. Don't want that to go away. More accurate passes. Cooper the guy who's inaccurate on a ton of passes. I shouldn't say a ton. Just more than you'd feel comfortable with.
One of the guys he was throwing to was Jalen Royals, and he snagged a couple of nice throws, dropped one.
Yeah, that was frustrating because he had a really good play where he caught a ball and he was short of the sticks on a third and I think it was a third and medium, maybe 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. Broke a tackle, got a first down. A few plays later, 3rd down again, drops a pass to what would have extended the drive. So it's okay, you put yourself in a position to make another play. By having that initial great play, but then he messed up later. It's oh, man.
String them together.
You're this close. You're so close to greatness, Jalen.
But he was a bit of a spark for Utah State in certain situations last week, and I got a chance to catch up with him on Tuesday, talk about that opportunity to play in that venue in the Big Ten, and then turn around and face a team like Idaho State coming into town. So here's my conversation with Jalen Royals. Jalen Royals, number 1 for Utah State. And first of all, what was that experience like for you going to Iowa? Big venue, top 25 team on the road. What was that experience like for you, just personally getting out to that kind of a venue and that kind of an atmosphere?
It was very exciting, last year, I got to play in a couple of games like that, but didn't really get the full experience. But now, playing that whole 60-minute game and, getting the big third down, loud crowd and stuff like that, and it's fun.
And you were targeted a number of times. You made some pretty big plays. What was that like for you, being able to make plays like that on the big stage, on national television?
It felt good, I worked for all off season, so, it felt good when, my opportunity came, and I just made the most of it.
What kind of improvements do you see in the passing game for this team right now, and kind of what you've been working on in the fall, then you had a game actually to work on. What kind of improvements are you seeing so far in the passing game for USU?
I would say, we're spreading the ball a lot more, all the receivers can get open, and, he'll spread it out to either us, me, Terrell, Otto, Kobe. We have a lot of weapons. Even, the running backs getting a little play in there, so, that's probably the biggest thing.
For you, what were some of the biggest lessons you learned after Game 1 about you and about your team after Game 1 this season?
That we can play with anybody, That's a big team right there, top 25. And I think we could have won that game if we would have, been on par. But, I think we're a really good team, and if we keep going at it, I think we could be really good this season.
What's something that people may not yet know about Utah State yet this season, and they're going to find out soon?
That we're a really good team. I said it again. We went into Iowa thinking we could win that game, and obviously it didn't turn out the way. But I think we can, win every other game after that.
In high school, you were an all-state high jumper in Georgia. You were, you finish the top 6 or 7, whatever, all-state? What was that experience like for you, and does that translate to football in any way?
It was a cool experience, Last year, I only did it for like 2 years, so I wasn't really that good. But it was a cool experience, and, translation to football, it helps me, go up and, high point balls and, go over defenders. And I think that's probably the biggest thing right there.
And then just lastly, kind of preparing for Idaho State. What do you see early on in some of your film of the Bengals?
That, they drop 8, so, underneath routes, running the ball, establishing the run game. And really that's it, honestly, just picking apart the drop 8 and how they run their defense, because it's a little special. So I think that's really it.
Lessons learned from last year, not overlooking an FCS team coming to bite you?
Yeah, last year wasn't, expected, but hopefully, this year we can turn it around.
All right, well, Jalen Royals, best of luck, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
So there's Jalen Royals, and he had himself a pretty good game for Utah State as a wide receiver at Iowa, and making himself an available target to get down the field and make some plays for USU, and expect to see more of him in this week and in future weeks for Utah State offensively.
Yeah, I mean, we had the 5 catches, and we had the 1 drop. Probably would have got him about 7 or 8 extra yards at least. But 5 catches, 39 yards. Didn't really do much as far as deep shots. That's something that he'll be good at. He's got some wheels on him and some hops. Apparently, I didn't realize he was a high jumper.
So go high point that ball.
He's got a lot of the physical attributes. I think he's 6 foot, 190, something about there as far as his measurables there. So expect to see some good things out of Jalen Royals. Maybe this is a game where he's able to let loose a little bit, get down the field, but also if Idaho State's dropping 8 every play, maybe Utah State should be running for 300 yards.
Yeah, that's true. It's going to be a lot of wide open grass in front of the running backs. We'll hear from Simeon Harris next, another player who could have himself a pretty good game with the team that likes to air it out. He'll be in position to pick off a pass, knock down some passes, try to take away the passing game a little bit. My conversation with the cornerback, safety, Simeon, he's a safety, not a cornerback. He's in the secondary. Simeon Harris, transfer from Colorado. Simeon Harris, one of the newcomers to Utah State University. And first, just what was that experience like to that venue, going to a top 25 place, full house, going to Iowa, just the experience of going to a venue like that?
It was fun, to be out there, see all the fans. I thrive off that type of energy, and obviously coming from Colorado and playing at USC and playing at Washington, I felt that same energy and feeling. So it was fun to be back in that environment and playing hard.
And nothing new for you. I mean, you had a big game. You played well for Utah State. What was that like for you? Just one of the leading tacklers for the team on Saturday.
Just wanting to win, man. And I'm just trying to get everybody on the same page of playing with high energy, playing physical, not shying away from the spotlight. Some of those guys, that was their first time being in a big venue like that. And I was just letting guys know it's just football. It's literally just football. We all put our pads on the same, and let's just have fun. Let's not stress about anything.
I mean, you're one of the more experienced players in that secondary. There's a lot of new faces in the secondary. So do you feel like you have an elevated role to try to bring that? I know you're kind of new here too, but right. You've got some different experience and background that you can bring to the table.
Right, yeah. Obviously playing last year and coming in and playing a lot week 1. I do have a lot of experience, and I'm just being a high communicator. We got Ike Larson playing the other safety position and communicating with him, making sure we're on the same page in the back end, letting the corners know what we're doing, letting the nickel know what we're doing. So just trying to keep everybody on the same page and communicating with conviction. That's what Coach tells us to do.
What was the biggest lesson for you and for the team after week 1?
Man, what I took from it is this is going to be a good year. Yes, we lost, right? No one likes to lose. But I felt like we played hard. And as long as we have to mature as a defense. We had some mental mistakes that were not needed. You know what I mean? So if we get rid of those mental mistakes, we're going to have a great season this year, defensively and offensively.
It's new to you anyway, but there's been some players talking about Joe Cawthon's defensive system is a little bit complicated, just trying to understand it. Is that a fair assessment, or just it's new and everybody's just got to come in and play their role?
For some guys, it's new to them, but for me, coming from the place that I came from, it's what's complicated for me is learning the terminology. Everything is the same concept, right? Defense is the same concept. So me being a smart guy, I just have to learn the words and the terminology and the technique that he wants. That's the only really difficult thing that I'm trying to get used to. But everything else, the concept of the defense and what he's telling us, I trust what he's doing. Obviously, the way we played week 1, that install he gave us for Iowa, we did some good things on defense, you know, so I'm trusting what he's doing. He came in the first team meeting, he asked us for blind trust, and I've been trusting him ever since, so we're going to do good.
I know you weren't here last year, but big surprise losing to an FCS team in this venue. Certainly, I'm sure that's been a bit of a point of emphasis this week, not to overlook your opponent.
Right.
But what do you see early on in studying Idaho State and the Bengals?
I'm not overlooking nobody. They got some good receivers, explosive offense. They like to throw the ball, and they like to put points on the board. So we got to be on our P's and Q's. And obviously, Coach A, he's taking this very seriously. He's taking it like we play in Iowa. We really not try to put a name in the vision and league on this team. We're saying this is a football game, and we're going to play hard like nothing else. So, yes, sir.
You were going back to high school.
Right.
You were a league champ in the 400 meter.
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience like for you, being able to win something at that level, and how does that translate to what you're trying to do in football?
Man, just fully exerting myself through that whole lap, through that whole 400, and just remembering the feeling after, even though I was tired, but knowing that I won. Just feeling that joy, you know what I mean? So I come out here every day with the mindset to fully exert myself for the team and give it my all. Even in the games, give it my all. Play fast, play physical, play your heart out, you know? And when you do that, you will feel some kind of joy knowing you played your heart out, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Very good. Simeon Harris, he wears number 12 on his jersey. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun catching up with Simeon and Jalen, getting their feel for how things went in week 1 and then trying to get better for week 2, an opponent that it's clear this coaching staff is not letting them overlook Idaho State on Saturday.
Yeah, they are, and we'll get into that later, probably get into it a bit more tomorrow, but yeah, the Idaho State does not have the luxury of being able to be overlooked in this game. Because if they are, then you should probably just shut down Utah State football for the season. This team should know very well, even though there's a lot of new guys, everyone in that room needs to know full well, you do not overlook FCS teams, because Utah State just suffered one of the most embarrassing FCS losses just a year ago. So you can't be overlooked, especially because San Diego State kind of overlooked Idaho State. So that's something that these guys will certainly be aware of.
All right, got to take a time out here in the Full Court Press. Still love to hear from you on the improvements for Utah State football from week 1 to week 2. What do the Aggies need to be working on to really give us an idea of what this team is going to look like and be better for this upcoming season? 435-339-0321.
Attention food lovers in Cache Valley. Thank you for voting Prodigy Brewing a winner for Best Craft Beer and Best Bar and Grill in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Prodigy Brewing invites you to their pet-friendly outdoor patio this summer. Whether it's with family or friends for lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch, you'll love every tasty bite of Prodigy's delicious beer cheese nachos, sizzling pizzas, juicy burgers, and more, including a kids menu. Exceptional food, extraordinary service, and family-friendly. Prodigy Brewing on Center Street in downtown Logan.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
If cost is preventing you from calling an attorney after your accident, you can stop worrying now. You can call the Advocates and discuss your case with an experienced Cache Valley attorney at no cost to you. At the Advocates, when we say you pay zip, nil, nothing, we mean it. Our consultations are free and we don't get paid unless we win your case. Let us be your advocate and we will fight for the settlement you deserve without you ever opening your wallet. Call 801-355-5550 or chat online at utahadvocates.com.
Make it 3 years in a row. Advanced Heating and AC is honored to be named gold medalist for the best of Northern Utah in the AC HVAC category. They thank you for your support and vote of confidence in their company. You have many choices when it comes to your home's heating and air conditioning system. Make sure you choose the gold medal winning company, Advanced Heating and AC. Call 752-7272 or stop by their showroom west of DI. Online at advancedheating-ac.com. Fall is in the air and it's getting colder. Make sure your vehicle is well maintained. Valvoline Instant Oil Change in Logan across from Angie's can help. As the weather turns colder, your car needs more babying and an oil change is easy. They'll change your oil and also check other fluid levels and replace your air filters if needed. The best thing, you can stay in your car while their trained professionals service your vehicle. Valvoline Instant Oil Change, 695 North Main, open 7 days a week.
Sunday on the Las Vegas Raiders Radio Network, the Silver and Black head to Denver to take on the Broncos. Hi, this is Tim Cates. Join Jason Horowitz and Lakin Kennedy for all the action as the Raiders kick off the 2023 season on the road against Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. It's a new season, new quarterback with Jimmy Garoppolo under center. The Raiders defense revamped and ready to go. It's a week one matchup in Denver, the Raiders and Broncos. If it's NFL, it's right here.
Pre-game begins at 1:45 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. My brother Travis and I opened our first store here in Logan in 2010 by Big 5 Sports. Recently, we opened our second location by Red Balloon Toys. We carry the world's best beds, IntelliBed Purple, Tempur-Pedic, and Sealy Posturepedic. And yes, we are the ones that tease Lewiston once in a while. We're 6th generation Cache Valley family, and chances are that you or your neighbor have bought a bed from us, and we value that more than anything. Come into the North or South My Mattress today and sleep better tonight. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally?
The Aggies are asking us to help them stripe the stadium this Saturday night for the season home opener versus Idaho State. Locker 42 is game ready. Check your tickets. Even numbered sections wear white. Odd numbered sections wear blue. Locker 42 has a store full of game ready Aggie gear. It's a new season. Locker 42, always ready for game day.
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Four 435-339-0321 if you want to text in. 5879 with the suggestion. I really want to see the defense smother the Bengals with a pillow. I also expect a highly explosive offense featuring the deep ball. I don't think it's too much to ask for, and I think the team is fully capable of seeing it, how well they played against Iowa.
Yeah, I think being able to smother Idaho State will come down to a little bit of turnovers, obviously a little bit of keeping what you did against Iowa, where they limited a lot of big plays for Iowa, limited the run game. And, if you get some turnovers, then, you can hold Idaho State into the single digits if you're doing that right. But obviously San Diego State struggled to hold them in the single digits. So, we'll see. I think
true.
But I think you can still say you can smother the defense, even if they're getting some yards. It's about the important point, not letting them in the end zone, not letting them in field goal range. That'll be the big key for the Aggies.
9315, what is the latest in conference realignment? Nothing right now.
I got nothing.
Kind of a quiet holding pattern.
We haven't had reason to use our little little news blurb thing.
Like we predicted that things needed to be settled by Labor Day, because at that point, really the full season gets underway and it gets harder for these entities to meet and discuss and get together. There's some rumor out there that Washington State and Oregon State are still trying to hold on to the Pac-12 and remake it. I don't know how much of that is coming out of Pullman or Corvallis or just the Pac-12 offices. But there's still a slight outside chance that they try to make a play at picking off only select schools out of the Mountain West or the AAC to join the Pac-12 rather than a full merger between the Mountain West and the Pac-12.
Yeah, they're going to be projecting rebuilding the Pac-12 up until the moment it either dies or until, I guess, if they actually do manage to pull it off. Maybe they manage to do it. Because, again, the reason for that happening isn't so much that it would be Washington State and Oregon State being such an attractive option to partner with that everyone's going there. The reason that might happen is if teams in the AAC and Mountain West decide they want to, cut off the lower ends of those conferences and try and just form the best of the Mountain West AAC and the remainder of the Pac-12.
Relegation.
Yeah. If they decide to pull something like that off, then they could, but that would require the cooperation of 10 different teams. Because obviously it can't, I initially kind of wrongfully made the argument that maybe San Diego State and Boise State drive a conversation by themselves toward that, but then I realized, if they just did that by themselves, that's $34 million a piece.
Yeah.
Or at the very least 17 if they decide to wait. They'd have to get, more agreement from other teams in the Mountain West to pull something like that off.
The NCAA can grant them an exemption for a year to be a smaller than 8-member conference, but can't last very long.
No, so
and I don't know how they're basically two schools that are independents trying to fill out a full schedule for 2024. It's not going to be fun to do.
Yeah, and I feel like San Diego State and Boise State are probably the only teams that are super uncomfortable with, having to be in a conference with such lowly teams as San Jose State and whatnot.
Yeah.
They're the only, I think, teams that are really upset about that. So they may be motivated to try and pull something like that off and be under the Pac-12 umbrella. But I think most of the rest of the teams are just bring Washington State and Oregon State into the Mountain West. Let's be done with it.
Right. We all know what's going to happen. Let's just get it over with.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the latest and inaugural RPI rankings that were released for Utah High School Activities Association for football. But before we do that, just a reminder about Valvoline Instant Oil Change. They're right across the street from Angie's, 695 North Main in Logan. Quick, clean, and easy. Open 7 days a week. Get your car taken care of. But the Region 11 well represented in the inaugural RPI rankings for 4A, with 3 of the top 4 coming out of Region 11.
I was going to say entirely represented. They're all in the RPI.
Well, they're all in the RPI, yes, but three of the 6 are in the top 4. Green Canyon number 1, Ridgeline number 2, Skyview number 4.
I'll be honest, when I saw Green Canyon at the top, I was like, wait, what? But then you realize there's no style points in RPI. It is pure win-loss.
Yep.
And who your opponents win-loss. And your opponents win-loss. So for Green Canyon, it made a lot more sense once I realized, there's no style points. It doesn't matter that Skyview's been, kicking the doors off of every team and then smashing those doors after they've done kicking them off. And Green Canyon has, squeaked out 4 wins. That doesn't matter. Green Canyon's got the wins just as much as Skyview has, and they've played better opponents, I think, for the large part.
Green Canyon beat 5A Hunter, ranked 5th in 5A. They beat 4A Stansbury, ranked 8th in 4A. They beat Highland, ranked 15th in 5A. That's their lowest ranked opponent. And they beat Morgan in 3A, who's ranked 5th in their classification.
Yeah, so they're playing a bunch of good teams. I mean, Skyview, their most recent opponent was Fremont, who I imagine is pretty far down there in 6A. They're not doing so hot in their classification.
Ranked 16th.
Yeah, so Green Canyon, of your 3 undefeated teams, they're clearly all up there at the top. But Green Cane has the best, RPI numbers based off all their win-loss, and again, opponents' win-loss and such and such and such. Ridgeline, slightly worse. Skyview, not as impressive, although I wouldn't say they've been playing, cupcakes.
No.
They've just been playing like 5 and 6A teams, but not always the best 5 and 6A teams.
Yeah, Skyview's team's ranked 13th, 19th, and 16th, and the other team is 1-3 on the season.
Yeah, well, it was Morgan.
Yeah, that was Morgan. Who's ranked 5th.
Yeah, I said, don't be twisting that. You gave Green Canyon credit for that one.
Yes, I did. But also should mention Bucks Elder in the inaugural rankings for 5A coming in at number 1. They're 4-0. They're undefeated and playing very good. I mean, they played Mountain Crest very tough, beat the Mustangs. They beat Bear River handily, but they come in at number 1 for 5A. Speaking of Mountain Crest, they come in at number 11, Bear River at 14, Logan at 19. You can see the full rankings of everybody in 4A on CashValleyDaily.com. And region play getting underway this Friday, which could be really interesting. Skyview at home against Ridgeline, Green Canyon hosting Mountain Crest, and Bear River hosting Logan.
Absolutely getting it started off with some blockbuster matchups when you got Ridgeline and Skyview up against each other.